The game's final play. Taylor over the top to Waller. Can't bring it
in. An absolute shame. An absolute shame. That was Brian Daboll throwing his headset in disgust after that last play. I don't know if he's in disgust of the fact that they lost the game or in disgust of that terrible, terrible play that ended up at the end of the game, the missed call. All that stuff we're going to get into on when we get to the Giants and the Jets, of course. But I want to welcome you guys to the Blue versus Green podcast, Blue versus Green show. We just finished watching the game.
It was almost a perfect football Sunday,
dude. It was almost.
Oh my God!
Yeah, and yeah, I still got a little bit of calming down to do, but before we get all into it, once again, I'm your host Gabe, joined by our other co-host Walter. Say what's up, and so, if this is your first time here, welcome to the show. Please make sure that you like, rate, share, and subscribe. Hit that subscribe button as soon as possible. And if you're already here, thanks for following us. Hope you hit the notify button also. Let's get right into it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, tell me what are your first thoughts on the day, specifically with the Jets and the Giants?
Oh my gosh, let me tell you something. If you're on heart medication, I hope you took like double doses this week, because these games, regardless win or loss, they were amazing. They were down to the wire. They were full of suspense. Jets stay alive in the playoff hunt miraculously. Giants, unfortunately, they fall at the very, very end. And just I gotta tell you something. I'm not even gonna get into a Jets and Giants thing. I'm just gonna tell you right now, the refs are absolutely fucking up football.
Yeah, man,
and it's not just on a local level, because you're seeing it all over the place with these stupid roughing the passer calls and these
there was terrible ones, man.
Oh my gosh, I you know what, they are literally ruining football right now. It's just I don't know what you do. I mean, there's got to be a way to hold these guys accountable, truly. You know what I'm saying? There's got to be a way, and there's got to be a way that, if you disagree with the call, you've got instant replay. Go back and look at the call.
Yeah, there's a reason why you have it. I think that we should expand what we can call, challenge and stuff. But we'll get into all the officiating and all that stuff. What about the Giants? What did you think about the Giants? I mean, I know that you're happy about the Jets.
I am, and I've got my thoughts on the Jets, not just the game, but the season, but overall, the Giants, listen, I really truly thought that they were going to get blown out. I really, really did. I'm not going to lie.
I don't think there was a single person that didn't think so.
Yeah, I mean, the line was what, 15?
Yeah, we had I believe the worst odds in the entire season so far, the longest odds. Yeah, it was crazy.
Bowled out. They bowled out. I gotta give them a lot of credit, man. They really showed something today.
Yeah, I thought that it's funny because it's like it's finally come all together, and I'll get into why I think it kind of makes sense that it's coming together now, even though it seems like the most inopportune moment for Daniel Jones. But everything kind of came together. Offense, defense, special teams was awesome. Play calling, coaching, everything that we were kind of hoping to be there at the start of the season was there tonight. With the exception of Daniel Jones, unfortunately. And then for the Jets, I mean, you guys came out with a win in the most unlikeliest scenario, going against arguably the best for at least for a couple hours. They were arguably the best team in the league, as they ended up being the sole team to be undefeated after Brock Purdy and company ended up losing.
Not anymore, baby. Not anymore, baby.
So for a couple hours, the Eagles were undefeated until they met the Jets, and the Jets ended up taking that away from them. Not only taking that away from them, but coming out with the first victory in the entire history of playing them under the worst possible circumstances. Not only do you have Aaron Rodgers out, you have so many of your starters out as well, that your cornerbacks are out, your star cornerbacks, and it was honestly, it was amazing that you guys pulled it off, to be honest with you. But yeah, we got thoughts. We got thoughts. So why don't we start talking directly about the Jets? Why don't you tell me a little bit about what you felt with the overall play calling? I mean, what was your big hit, the good, the bad, and the ugly for you?
Well, I guess, and this is going to kind of lead into what I was talking about before, where it's not just game season, but overall. I got to give the Jets a ton of credit, not just players, because the players really balled out in probably one of the worst circumstances you can find yourself in, not only in this game, because they were down 4 of their top 6 cornerbacks. They only dressed 4 cornerbacks for the game. So, and they were playing 3 of them mostly throughout the game. So they literally had one backup, I got to give props to Craig James. He's the guy that came off and took Sauce Gardner's place, and he balled out today. He really did
some freaking plays, man.
Yeah, I'm telling you, it wasn't a thing where, Jalen Hurts was going after him and trying to expose him, because every time he did, Craig James would have an answer to them. The Jets today had 14 passes defended, which is an incredible amount, So I got to give him props. I got to give Jermaine Johnson props. And I'm telling you right now, Bryce Huff, he is this close to being a superstar in this league. And that kind of leads into my next thing, where I got to give Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh all the praise. I got to give them all the praise.
They showed, that they could put it together with last year's team.
Well, you know what it is? You look at Joe Douglas and the players that he has on this team, and look at guys like Xavier Gibson. Look at guys like Bryce Huff. These are undrafted, restricted free agents that they brought in. And you look at guys like a Tony Adams, who's the starting safety for this team. He's gone out and found talent where nobody was looking. You know what I'm saying? He brought in Quincy Williams, who Quincy Williams before was probably not a guy that you would say is in line for a possible all-pro season this year. He showed flashes of talent, but the thing that Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh does, and they do very well, is that they find players that fit their system and highlight their talents. The only place that they haven't done that with is the quarterback position. But if you look across the board, they have depth in places where you wouldn't think that they would. You know what I'm saying? And they're bringing in players that no other team in the league gave a chance. And, I got to give credit to Joe Douglas on that. And I got to give credit to Robert Saleh for keeping this team together, especially after the Aaron Rodgers injury.
That's absolutely true.
That alone is probably the biggest plus and positive that you get out of the season with Robert Saleh, is because you know what? He kept these guys motivated. He kept these guys with their heads in the game. He kept this team together. And I've never seen, in the years that I've been a Jets fan, a team that feels so close-knit and really, truly having each other's back like this team.
I agree with you, especially from the coaching side. I had told you that I thought that this was actually the biggest win for Robert Saleh, because, last season there was on the losses, we kind of blamed a lot of those losses on Robert Saleh. And this season is still kind of like, hey, is this, not only is Zach going to be able to kind of, step into these shoes, fulfill that role and make something happen, is Robert Saleh really the one that's going to take you guys to a chip, right, to the postseason and all that stuff? Who's going to bring you to the next level? And for as much talk as we've praised him for like how much of a great communicator it seems like he is, how motivating he is in the locker room, with Hard Knocks and everything that we saw behind the scenes. Jose going as far as saying like, man, like I want to play for this coach and stuff, but it hasn't really translated onto the field, at least in a way that we can see it. And today he really showed up, You know, when you have like so many of your starters down, when you need to make big plays, when you need to kind of like keep them motivated and stuff like that. I think that he did an outstanding job today. Kudos to your defense. You know, I will say that in my personal opinion, I mean, it really was defense. Defense wins games, but the defense really won this game. You know,
Oh, they showed out.
Yeah, they
showed
absolutely
out.
showed out. 3 interceptions, or was it 3 total? Or
Three
4 turnovers?
interceptions, four turnovers.
We got a recovered fumble, putting crazy pressure. I mean, they honestly they look this week and last week. I think that they looked and flashes before, they've looked like the superstar defense that they've been touted to be. So, you know, I think huge props to the defensive end. That is, I think, how you're going to be able to win games this season.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Primarily, I think that you guys do a great job of giving Zach you guys, from a defensive standpoint, you're giving Zach what he needed 2 years ago. You know,
yeah.
He needed the ability to build up confidence, to learn how to read, to learn how to play the game at the NFL pro speed, and he's really gotten that in the last few games. I still think that there's still some decision-making issues here and there.
Absolutely.
I don't know if that comes down to play calling, like from the coaching side, or if that's on Zach, right? Right now, it's kind of like 50-50. You know, all the good is on Zach and the coaching. All the bad is on Zach and the coaching as well. So it's good that you guys have a defense that can be a pretty damn heavy-duty safety net. So,
yeah, that defense though has to really stop giving up all these points in the first half. I mean, you know, if you look at the games that they've played, they've been behind in every single game.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
And going down again to the Philadelphia Eagles today in, what was it, the second quarter, they were down 14-3.
Yeah,
you know, you can see that this defense definitely has the chops to stop these guys. They're just waiting too long to do it. You know what I'm saying? And we've been fortunate so far that we've been able to get back in these games, you know. And there's an interesting stat that I need to share here. This is the 7th win under Robert Saleh since 2021, when they were trailing by more than 10 points. And there's only one other team in the NFL that has been able to say that. That's the Minnesota Vikings. Okay, not the greatest,
still, that's a stat,
you know what I'm saying? But you know what? That shows the resiliency of this team and Robert Saleh, and you know, the motivation that he's given these guys, you know, because despite whoever they're playing, whether it's the Patriots, which still pisses me off that we lost that game, but that's another thing. You know what I'm saying? But whether it's the Patriots or the Chiefs or, you know, the Eagles or the Bills, they still find a way to get back. You know who they remind me of? They remind me of the championship Yankees. Remember how whenever you got into the 9th inning, they always know they found a way. You know what I'm saying? And I think the Jets are building to that. Now with Zach is getting.
Yeah, I was just about to ask. We've been talking a lot and giving a lot of praises to defense and to the coaching.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure that we're not skipping Zach over here, because
no, we're not. You know, Zach is getting better and better. Zach is still having his issues, you know what I'm saying? But again, the thing about it is that Zach is stacking here, you know what I'm saying? You can see with every game he's getting a little bit more confidence here. Some of the throws that he was making, dot, you know what I'm saying? He was just getting them in these really tight windows.
Yeah.
So you can
some of those throws, he was also getting bailed out, man.
Of course.
Your boy, man, freaking Garrett Wilson making some heavy duty plays, getting a chance to actually show what he's capable of. I love being able to see some of these really tough, hard to catch balls and stuff, and making those plays and whatnot. So
listen, every quarterback needs that guy.
You guys signed up for the Wilson and Wilson show, right?
Yeah. Listen, and like I said, every quarterback needs that guy. You know, Josh Allen wasn't unlocked until he got Stephon Diggs. You know what I'm saying? Right. So every quarterback needs that guy. Now, what Zach needs to do is continue to trust in his guys. And you know what? throw the ball up there and know that those guys can make those plays. I think that's the next step for Zach. Zach is getting there. You know what I'm saying? Zach is being more trusting. He now needs to start, once he gets that part of his game down, then he needs to start leading from the front at that point. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
but he's getting. It's like Salah said in his press conference. They are this close with the offense. They are this close with the offense. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So,
they are. I mean, it's funny because in a lot of ways, I'm seeing, I feel like the Giants are now kind of closing that gap to the Jets in their performances, right? Like our defense is starting to pick up. Our offensive line, especially today, was starting to like work and all that. And the play calling and all that stuff. We're seeing all these glimpses. I feel like the Giants right now are the Jets 3 weeks ago.
yeah.
So
and you've said that before.
Yeah,
like
and
we're lagging here. You know?
Yeah,
what I'm
we're
saying?
lagging. The Giants are lagging right now. So I'm really excited to see what the Jets do next week so that I know what's in store for us coming soon.
I could tell you what they're going to do next week. They're not going to lose because they're not playing.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, they're on the bye next week. So,
Damn, dude. So wait a minute. We get you guys fresh off of a bye?
Yes, you do.
Oh my God, that's so
and that also means that we have a chance to kind of get all of our injured players back into the fold here. You know what I'm saying? DJ Reed probably could have played. He definitely would have played next week, coming off of the concussion protocol.
Mm-hmm.
Sauce Gardner was a surprise scratch today.
Yeah, I'm very, very much wondering about that. I wanted to ask you about that because with concussion protocol, if they're gonna, it looked like this whole like feeling sick, probably feeling nauseous. Maybe he's saying that like I probably ate something bad, but it was probably a concussion. Now, what scares me is that if this was a concussion that lasted for a few days before he even got checked, that means it was a pretty bad concussion. Because when you get like a serious concussion, that's when you deal with nausea and vertigo for multiple days, 3 to 5 days. That's kind of like a little bit, hey, get out of here. That was a little bit, a bit of a more serious concussion.
Yeah.
Versus a slight concussion where, you might not pass a test that day, but you'll be maybe okay the next day.
I believe they first put him on the injured list either Thursday or Friday, but they called it an illness. So a lot of people
put him on the injured list.
Well, no, they put him on the did not practice list.
Yeah, did not practice.
You know
I was gonna say injury list. He's out 4 games.
Yeah. No. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
They put him on the DNP list, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people were speculating that maybe he had COVID. And then when it came down that all of a sudden he's out for the game because of a concussion, people were like, where the hell did that come from?
It might have been in practice. I mean, it couldn't have been.
I don't know because I didn't see it during the game. So the interesting thing is that today he tweeted out, he was like, yeah, that's crazy. I feel fine. So it's kind of perplexing in a way. Now I know for a fact that the Jets aren't going to keep their best player out of the game for no reason, you know what I'm saying? But it's sometimes whatever happens in Jetland gets very, very weird. You know what I'm saying?
What's funny, what's interesting is that this kind of came up either in this week or the previous week, and your favorite talk show radio host, Tiki Barber, brought this up. Well, he brought up a really good point that, like, when it comes to a lot of players, you learn how to. He was talking about concussions. He was like, it's absolutely great that the NFL has concussion protocol. He wished, the NFL did something more about concussions earlier and stuff. But he also said that, like, concussions are so common in this game, in this sport, that even though it's not a good practice, a lot of players learn how to fake it, just because they want to keep playing. And he said that he's faked, not having a concussion just to make sure that he doesn't get put on protocol or injury reserve or anything like that. And he says he knows for a fact that some of these guys are faking it just to stay on the field. And this could be one of those things like, oh no, I'm sick, doesn't pass concussion. And it was just food poisoning. Just, make something up because because he wants to play so bad. I would hope that it's not that, but concussion system, the
Yeah,
symptoms are they're pretty obvious.
yeah, it's pretty weird. I don't know. It, like I said, it's a weird situation to be in with them. I remember when I played. This was before concussions were concussions. We used to call them stingers. You know, you get stung, be out a couple of plays. The coach would come up to you and say, "You good?" We get right back into it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I don't know probably how many concussions I suffered to, while
But
I
you
was
learn how to
playing.
play through some of those symptoms, no?
Absolutely, you know what I'm saying? Like at first you feel a little woozy, you're out of it and stuff like that, and then you kind of just center yourself and you're back out. You know what I'm saying?
And I'm not
So
trying to like accuse anybody or come up with any kind of conspiracies, but also, knowing Sauce Gardner, I mean, that man is a gamer. He will do any. I mean, he burned the cheesehead just to get Aaron Rodgers over
he
here.
did.
He's the kind of guy that he's like, what do I got to do to make this game happen? To make to be able to play, he's going to do it. That's also part of the reason why when he's covering, sometimes it's a little messy when he's covering and whatnot, but it's because he's willing to do anything and everything in order to play.
That is
So it's
true.
something that you got to commend. And
Oh my
and
gosh.
if it is a concussion, I hope that he just kind of comes out of it super.
They just showed the end of the Giant game again. I'm scarred. I'm scarred.
Well,
I can't see it again. You know what I'm saying?
well, we're going
And they got
to.
Sean McDermott over there going, we won.
I can't
Come
freaking
on.
believe this, guys. I
Now,
mean, we'll get into that in a
speaking
minute. And
Yeah,
anything
yeah.
else you want to add about the Jets and the Eagles before we start talk about the Giants?
The only thing I would say is that again I'm pissed off at the fact that we lost to a Patriot team that has turned into an absolute shit show the last 3 weeks, and I'm never gonna forgive them for beating us and stuff because we should be 4-2 right now, and I mean, listen, the Jets Eagles game, it is what it is. It was exciting. And the Jets, again, they show their resiliency here. You know what I'm saying? Zach needs to improve. That defense needs to improve. But the silver lining, and I know I've mentioned this a couple of times, and it kind of gets at you. We've just went through the most difficult part of our season. If you think about it, and no, this has nothing to do.
I know. Well, I can't
imagine saying something about the Giants, and it's not. You know what I'm saying? But the truth of the matter is, look at the teams that we played. We played Buffalo with Josh Allen. We played Dak Prescott. We played Russell Wilson. We played freaking New England. These are teams that 3-3. To say that we came out of that's pretty good. 3-3 with Zach Wilson, that's even better. And the other thing I'm going to say,
that's a big number, man.
Yeah, and the other thing I want to say is, we're over here talking about Zach and how he's missing throws and he's not doing this, but you also have to understand that Zach Wilson is coming from a place where he was expected to play this year, right? He was supposed to be fully the backup. So not only from his preparation level, he's trying to get into understanding this offense as a number one. That's first of all. Second of all, you have Hackett who's trying to understand what Zach Wilson is, because
absolutely. I said this before too,
right? But the third thing is that you got to look at the defenses that Zach's played against, and these aren't small defenses. These aren't crappy defenses. These are very tough defenses.
Completely concur. I agree with everything that you're saying.
So the fact that Zach, yes, he may not be throwing for 400 yards and 5 touchdowns, and running as fast as Tyreek Hill, and making plays like Josh Allen. Maybe that's not what he's doing, but you also got to give him credit for the fact that he's learning a brand new offense while he's playing against all of these defenses and still finding a way to make plays.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, not take anything away from him, but we now have to officially stop using that excuse because it's week 6. He's had now, I think, ample amount of time to kind of finally settle in to his own game. You guys got
to get easier now.
That's it. This is the last week that you can use that as an excuse. the same way that in our situation, it's the same thing sort of with the Giants. Yes, we have mostly the same group, but it's a different offensive line every single game, multiple combinations per game.
Even within a game.
Yeah, even within the game, loss of personnel that's kind of causing a lot of confusion. And again, we still have new people on the team that Daniel Jones has to kind of get ready, to understand rather, before you can kind of play in this well-oiled machine kind of way, similar to how I think the Giants actually did this year. So going into that game, I alluded to this before. I thought with the Giants that we saw everything that we expected to see at the start of this season. We saw a competent offense, a competent defense, a more than competent defense. I mean, the defense truly showed up today. It reminded me of the defense that kept Eli Manning in a lot of games. And I thought that we had great coaching, great play calling, everything about it. I thought was great. There was some time management issues, and we'll get into that as well. But man, like all I want to know is where the hell has this offensive line been? The only thing that we did was we brought up, Pugh, right? Pugh.
Justin Pugh.
Yeah, Pugh.
Straight off the couch.
Justin Pugh, straight off the couch.
Justin Pugh said that on national TV, man.
Not playing his traditional role, having to fulfill a guard role that he doesn't normally play off the couch, and then a couple plays in, 5 plays in, has to shift to left tackle, which he's only taken, I think it was 156 total snaps his entire career at left tackle. Man,
the fact that you didn't have to say his name during the game means everything, right?
Yeah, again, like I said,
you don't
have no idea where this offensive line was.
Yeah.
I have a hard time believing that.
You don't want your name out there.
Yeah, absolutely. But look, you want to know who else we didn't call? We didn't call Evan Neal either. Not one time was he called. Yeah, he played. He made some really good plays. He played really well. So what I want to know is, I guess it took Daniel Jones practically being decapitated, almost murdered on live national television for the offensive line to actually show up and play. Like we had everyone. I mean, of course, like there were times that Tyrod Taylor was pressured. Defenses, they're gonna fall apart in every game. Doesn't matter who you are. Every quarterback is gonna see a pressure once or twice.
Right.
But I thought Tyrod Taylor had so much time to play, to figure out, to kind of, hey, get out of here. Go over there. Sorry. To create some sort of plays happening, especially with Barkley. And that's another thing. Barkley in the game, just having him in the game. The first half of the game, he barely did anything. It was 12 carries for 12 yards. It was nothing, but just having his presence there changes how the defense approaches the game. Changes because of run pass, options. And when they stopped trying to, I don't even want to say when they stopped trying to like deal with Barkley, it's when they started trying to focus a little bit more on the pass options, because Waller was getting hit, Hyatt was making plays. All of a sudden, their focus goes on the pass. Barkley opens up, and he went ham in the second half.
They did, and I also think that by him getting into the second half, he kind of loosened up that ankle. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, there was a couple times where I was like, man, I don't like him like throwing himself in there like that.
Yeah, definitely.
He came out as seemingly safe. He had 24 carries for 93 yards, an average of 3.9, but he definitely exceeded what was expected. It was expected that he was going to average about 2.5 yards per carry. So,
and I'm pretty sure that a lot of that, the reason why that yardage was per carry is so low, is because he did struggle in that first half, because that second half he was ripping off runs.
Yeah, he had 2 major carries. They had a lot of like 4-yard, 6-yard pickups that helped us march all the way down to the field before those final seconds. which I recorded my reaction. It was pretty funny. I'll send it over to Walt. Maybe we could put it in post. Maybe we'll make it as its own separate post so you guys can all see what my stupid reaction to the end of the game was.
Listen, the end of the halves weren't good for you in this game.
Yeah, so why don't we
really
talk about
wasn't.
the halves? I mean, you tell me how you felt watching my team, screw up the clock management at the end of the second half, similar to how Zach Wilson messed it up last week.
Well, again, I think this is more on the quarterback this week than it was last week. I think last week with the Jets, it was just a failure all over the place. Right. It was the quarterback, it was the players, it was the coaches. With this one, I think it was a little bit different because Tyrod Taylor, it seems like he audibled out of a certain play.
And he went to the second play.
Right, exactly. Which, you know what? And I think they were mentioning in the broadcast as well, that is the standard when you see a look, right? When you see a certain defense and whatnot, you then say, okay, I'm already hardwired to know that if I see a certain formation, then I'm going to switch to that. Except you don't do that when you don't have any timeouts at the end of that game. At the end of that half. You know what I'm saying?
Yes and no, because I think that the point is that what you don't do is that you don't make running an option. So, the question is, was it on Tyrod Taylor? Ultimately, yes, because he's the one that audibled and changed the play. Mm-hmm. But you can also make the argument that why was running an option? Why was that the second option play? There was a chance there to get two shots off. If you don't like the first look, change it.
That is true. That is true. So
change to a different play. Maybe get a second shot at the end zone. But that was a terrible failure, and I think that
And you just saw it the week before. That's the thing that drives you nuts, right?
The issue with week before. The issue with
you saw already.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. I think that the issue was part of it was play calling. Part of it was decision making on Tyrod and all that. The difference was though that there was plenty of time in last week's play to throw the ball out of bounds. If that was the better decision, even if you see the open man, just throw it out of bounds just to stop the clock, get a second pass. This one, I almost want to say that.
You had time.
I almost want to say that it is on Kafka more than it is on Tyrod, because if the run was a second option, Tyrod needs to kind of make the better decision of the two options for what he sees. But maybe he really saw something that made him, hey, you know what? Play one's not going to work. Let's default to play two.
Yeah, but you know what? There's always that 50-50 chance that they blow up something. You know what I'm saying? You can't in that situation. You got to take the points there. You know what I'm saying? So if it's like you said, if you're down in distance with that much time left on the clock, your only option should be a pass. And if it's not there, throw the ball away, live to fight another day. That's the way it should have gone. And clearly they didn't do it. So, you're right. There probably is some fault to the coaching to say, you know what, you still have that option. They probably never should have given it to him. But you did also have Tyrod literally go up there and say, you know what, we're getting out of this play and going to that run option instead, which clearly didn't work. So
ultimately,
that's annoying though, bro.
Yeah, ultimately though, it didn't. The field goal, the missed field goal opportunity, the missed 3 points that we came off the field with, ultimately would have had an impact in the end result because we lost by 5. Does it change, the environment that the Bills have to play in if they're coming out of the half with a 9-point deficit and the Giants getting the ball and us, scoring at the end of that first half? Yeah, it changes a lot, but the Giants did the right thing of being able to fight back, making a lot of stops. Unfortunately, this is the first time, all season that we held the lead for more than a quarter, and we held it for 3 quarters. The Bills scored all their points in the fourth quarter. quarter. I mean, albeit at the very start of the fourth quarter, but they scored all their points in the fourth quarter. So we did a lot of good in being able to keep ourselves in the game for 3/4 of the game. We had a lot of missed opportunities, obviously, with all the field goals. Those are all missed end zone opportunities potentially. So I want to give, all due respect to I think every facet of the Giants team and to Tyrod Taylor. You got to give credit where credit's due. It does make Daniel Jones kind of look bad, considering that Daniel Jones has not had a season, and here comes Tyrod Taylor almost winning the game. Actually, in my opinion, winning the game if it wasn't for the refs stealing that from the Giants, but we'll get into that next.
The Buffalo referees.
Taylor, he went out there, and what I think that he did well was manage the game. We had some really great passes and some really great catches. So it's nice to see some of our playmakers making some plays. It kind of shows that, maybe I think it was week 2 or week 3, Darren Waller maybe should have made that catch where he jumped up.
We had a Hyatt alert.
We had a couple catches, and they were great. Tyrod Taylor was helped out by not just having a good offensive line, but these wide receivers, they were getting open and wide open. They were all, sticking to their assignments. I mean, we saw some of these super clean, wide open shots. And again, I go to, where was this offensive line? Where were those receivers getting open the last 5 weeks? I really, really wish that Daniel Jones would have been able to kind of utilize and show us why he's the $40 million quarterback. But I give all the kudos to Tyrod Taylor for this game. So
let me ask you a question, because I think I had sent you guys a clip last week from a Dan Orlovsky, right?
Right.
Where he broke down Daniel Jones, and he made the case there that a lot of the sacks, and I think this was maybe one of the 10 or 11 sack games. I can't remember because there have been so many of those, right?
It was the 11 sack game where he took 10.
Right. So, but he made the case that a lot of those sacks wasn't really on the offensive line. It was because of DJ.
Well, that's he said 4. So, okay, he said 4 out of the 10. So that does still make the majority 4. Of them.
He didn't look at all of them. He said these are the 4 that I pulled out.
That he singled out as Daniel Jones mistake.
Right. So I mean,
it's still a majority on the offensive line. It's not that I don't.
It's weird.
Orlovsky has, again, Daniel Jones has made those mistakes, right? There's no question about it. But considering the amount of duress that he's under, considering how much pressure he's in, considering how much, how little he's able to do his job. I mean, again, like with Daniel Jones, how many times did we see him not even get out of here? Hold on a second. My cat is. You want to say?
Listen, at some point you got to bring Hayata in, right? That's her name, right? Hayata.
Not Hayata.
Hina.
You're good.
At some point you got to bring her in. Listen, this will work. Cat videos are awesome, right?
Get out of here. Anyway, where was I before?
Cat videos with football.
Daniel Jones, oftentimes he would catch the ball, turn around for a fake, pass off, and then when he turns around, there's a receiver, there's a defender in his face. When you're seeing that often, so many pressures, not even talking about the sacks, it makes it really hard to think about winning the game when you're thinking about your safety, or when you're going to get hit, or I got to protect the ball, I'm about to go down, even getting the trauma of leaving a good pocket because you're expecting to get hit. And fortunately, Tyrod Taylor didn't really see a lot of that tonight. I think there were only just a couple sacks. Let me take a look at the team stats real quick. The Bills had, let me see, 3 sacks. So 3 sacks in the entire game. That's a very far cry from 11 sacks the previous game, not last week, but the previous game before that. And then I think it was 7 sacks last week, including the one that took Daniel Jones out. That's a very far cry. And we're not talking about just any team. We're talking about the Bills, who have the most sacks in the entire league, and they held them back that way. So this proves that the offensive line finally showed up. And, if if you got some protection, the quarterback going to make some plays.
But you know what, the thing that I find hard to kind of swallow with that, and again, I'm not trying to take any away from DJ, because DJ was a soldier this season, and he may be out for an extended amount of time, because the last thing I saw on Twitter was that he's still having issues with the neck, and it's now radiating down into his legs. So, that seems like it.
I have my own thoughts on that. I think it go two ways. It's either a serious injury, or Dable and company, as we know, like to play kind of clandestine information.
I don't know.
This could be hey, the neck is still bothering you, but really the decision that they made was, the Bills are heavy. The Bills are known for the backs.
This didn't happen before the game. This happened after the game. This report came out after the game. So, that's why I say I think we may be seeing Taylor for a little bit longer than we want. But the thing that I find interesting is that, this is the first time that we've seen the Giants offense play as an NFL offense.
Yeah.
Like they looked like an NFL offense this week. Yeah. And a lot of the things that I saw that was happening this week that wasn't happening, there was a lot of short passes, a lot of quick passes, a lot of timing and rhythm passes. That's not something that we ever saw with Jones. And, I've been saying this for weeks now, not only with the Giants, but with the Jets, that, that is how you get a quarterback in rhythm. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That is how you mitigate some of these offensive line issues. And I find it interesting that they did it with Taylor and they hadn't been doing it with Jones.
Again, don't forget the context of the fact that now we have Saquon Barkley as well.
Because
before and I struggle with the idea of saying that, like, we didn't really see a lot of short passes. We did. It's just that they were muddled in with how much he was getting destroyed. Because if you look at the numbers, Daniel Jones is averaging about 176, 180 yards in passing yards per game. And that's including the last game where he didn't play the entire game. Tyrod Taylor only had 200 flat yards this game, so it's not too far from what Daniel Jones has been able to do and show. A lot of those passes that Daniel Jones was able to get have been just short passes. Most of them were never, ever clean. I mean, rarely did he have receivers that were open. There were short passes because they had to be short passes. And it's not that they weren't designed. I think that they were designed, but in this game, we saw these designed screens and short passes and quick slants and stuff, bootlegs, with cleaner looks. And I think it's just because having Barkley there opens up the defense. Their eyes are all distracted, right? If Barkley is not on the field, then all their eyes are on straight up just Tyrod Taylor. But with Barkley in the field, now half the defense has to have their eyes split between the two players. And that changes things. I think that's one of the reasons why you have a safety kind of in the middle where there's a little bit more open space for these slant routes and short passes to be available, because they're waiting to see if Barkley is going to come in and take it down the hole. Without Barkley there, they already know that any pass is going to be a tight short pass. And I think that's one of the issues that Daniel Jones also had to face with. But looking at the stats, it wasn't remarkable stats. Again, not taking anything away from Tyrod Taylor, but
Tyrod Taylor managed the offense.
He managed the offense really, really well, with the exception of a couple, maybe not boneheaded moves. I think the only real boneheaded move is the one at the end of the first half. But then again, we get to the end of the game, and at the end of the game, we have a shot. Thanks to the Bills missing 2 field goals.
Can we just say this? Josh Allen is not a fan of the New York defenses.
Absolutely not. I mean, we kind of even with the loss, I think that we proved, what's the real New York.
Exactly. He's getting wrecked by both the Jets and the Giants in the
I
same
know. Yeah,
season.
I know.
You know.
And you know what got us there, the way that he got wrecked was with our defense. Okereke, I mean, he had
Okereke
he
had
was
a
he was
fantastic game.
giant man of the game
Yep,
today. So
he was
I
all over the
you know,
place.
huge props to him. But we have clips, right? We have clips of that final play.
Do we want to watch it
So
again? Really?
we'll watch it real quick just to set it all up. Again, it's fourth and goal, 4th and 1 actually, because there was already a pass interference on a play that's previously run. There's no timeouts. There's no time left. We only have shot for one shot down the into the end zone. In the first play, it was almost an exact same replica of this play that happened at the end. Darren
Same
Waller
player.
goes up. He gets pass interference in the very first play.
Yep.
Second play, we see deja vu. Same thing happened. A different kind of pass interference that this time it was not called. Now, let's take a look at the video real quick. Let's see, I mean, how obvious it was or was it?
I'm
You know,
gonna
you
play.
guys
I'm gonna play these two back to back because we have one from the end zone and we have one from kind of like that sky camera.
right.
So we're gonna play the end zone one first, and here we go. So clearly, you see there's something
Yeah, you can
there.
see he's being held, but I can see people making the case for, oh, well, he was already up in motion, you know,
Right.
even before the hold. And, you know, is it impeding him? Well, let's take a look at the clip again from
Yep.
the other angle.
And again, you can
So,
see this
yeah,
one
he was
is
being
clearer
held.
right there.
I mean, he was being held as soon as he left. Like there was not a moment that he wasn't being held. So you technically have a holding call before the pass is thrown. Okay.
Two yards into the end zone as he was just breaking into his route.
Exactly. And the question is, well, if it doesn't impede the receiver from catching the ball, then they don't call it. Well, one, he can't pick up his arm because it's being held down by the actual sleeve and grab jacket and everything. And number two, if I'm holding you back, I'm holding you from getting space, from creating space, from getting yardage. You know, there was a real big chance there that I think Waller would have had like a couple feet away from the defender there and would have been completely open to catch the ball had there not been that jersey hold there. And that one is a huge missed opportunity. That game was effing stolen. Okay. They stole that game from us because that's a very obvious, and all we needed was just a touchdown. We didn't even need the extra kick. Being kicked the way that we have this season, we didn't need to be kicked down by the refs there. So
that being said, I hated the call. I did not like the call at all.
You didn't like the call?
I did not like the call in that situation. You know, that if you had some time left, I would have gone with that. Me personally, I think you either go with the big fatties up front and bring it right down the middle, or you roll that thing out and
I don't know, man. I don't know. I thought the
an
play call was
RPO
perfect.
available there. Because
honestly,
you know what?
I thought the play call was perfect because again, it showed that if that pass interference wasn't there, he was going to have a clear shot to a lob that nobody had a chance of getting except for Waller.
Yeah, but
the way that it was designed was a perfect lob. They executed it exactly how it's supposed to be executed. If you see the play from the very beginning, you know, if like, how can you say that it's a bad play call when it's your only chance? And we're talking about pretty much 100% accuracy on the play.
Nah, to me, it leaves too much to chance. Like I said, I'm either rolling with the big fatties and just, you know what, let's ball it in there. It's 1 yard. We're not talking about 3 or 4. You know what I'm saying? And
I mean, I understand.
The other thing that I would have done there is do an RPO rollout to either the left or the right side. You know what I'm saying? Because then that gives you options. With that play, you only had the one option. And
but it was it's one of those plays that was obvious that they saved it for this situation because again, it worked. It worked specifically in this situation. You know, coaches have they have their 6 to 10 plays specifically for certain situations. This was one of them.
I get that. And I just didn't like the play. That's just me.
I did because it was a very unexpected play that was again executed properly. That was just stolen. You know, if there was no holding call there, we're talking about one of the easiest receptions for Waller in the end zone.
No, I get it. Like I said, I understand. That's why you brought Waller there, right? You brought Waller there because he's a baller. You brought Waller there
Let's see that
because
second clip one more
he's
time.
tall. Sure.
So being held. He could have gone separation. He would have been able to catch that ball super easy with the extra foot that he would have had, with the extra hand that he would have been able to get up, and it was set up that way.
I don't know. Like I said, listen, I will grant you this. Definitely robbed. That should have been a DPI without question. I don't care what you want to say. You know, I know the guy in the broadcast was saying, well, you know, you gotta figure out if there was an impediment, dude. The guy was already holding him
Right. He
2
was
yards
trying to
into the
explain
route.
that. He was trying to
Yeah,
explain that, and then he
sorry,
realized, you know
doesn't
what?
work.
I agree. There was
Doesn't work.
an impeding factor.
Yeah, there wasn't work. There's no other way around it. That's DPI.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm super interested to end up to see the post game conference. I'd love to see like Dable's kind of thoughts and reactions. You know, Dable has already been kind of beaten down himself. You can
Dable
see
said it was the right call.
in his post conferences and stuff. He looks dejected. He looked dejected when he was giving the injury report. That very end of the game that, you know, you guys saw the clip at the beginning of the show, that very end of the game where he just tosses the headset off in disgust. You know, he's kind of done with how things are turning out. I don't know if there could have been a review, but I think that if maybe he was a little bit like head in the game, if I was me and I see that, I'm at least talking to the refs like, hey, go to the room, go to New York. You know, you have all these replays, you have all these, you have an office, a headquarters just for replay reviews and stuff. Go take a look at this. This is too important. It's the end of the game. You need to go review that before you call this game. You know, but he just kind of accepted it. You know, he just accepted it and
it is what it is.
Took it as it was, and it kind of sucks. You know.
So here's some post game comments. Tyrod Taylor said that talking about the end of the first half, it was a decision looking back I definitely shouldn't have made. So he's putting the onus on him. In terms of Brian Daboll and Tyrod Taylor's performance, he said he's a pro. I'm glad we have him. I thought he did a heck of a job tonight. And then to your point, what he thought about that last play of that game, speaking about Mike Kafka, he said, I thought it was a good call by Mike. So there you go. So, I mean, I guess these are the things you have to say afterwards. You know what I'm saying? But, you know.
Again, they get fined if they talk about the officiating. It's just the way that it is.
Listen, I would do it. I would do it.
Yeah.
What the hell?
Yeah, I'd take it. Yeah, I would take it. I would literally.
Absolutely.
I mean, does it hit the cap? Does the fine hit the cap?
Nope. And most of the time, the organization pays it anyway. It's not the coach. Yeah. So, you know, I'd go out there and I would say, you know what, the refs did a lousy job. The refs stole this game from us. You know, that was a clear DPI. You called it on the first one. Why can't you call it on the second one?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I would go ahead
this
and
one
do
was
it.
even more obvious than the first one.
Yeah.
He was held from the very moment that he left the line.
Yeah, to me, like I said with Salah last week, you got to put these refs on notice, man. Because if we keep on treating them with kid gloves, they're going to keep doing this to you. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely would have taken the fine there. I would have said what I had to say, and then I would have walked out and I would have come back and said it again. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, you know, it is what it is. But, you know,
all right. Well,
it's disappointing. It really is. But
looking forward. You know, since you guys have a bye, I did not realize you guys had a bye.
Yeah, we got a bye. We got a bye.
But, you know, all we have are the Commanders, which I think is still a very winnable game. And then the Jets, which I also think is still a very winnable game. I'm very, very interested in seeing you guys on a bye week. There is always bye week rust.
You know what it is with the Jets also? The Jets have this very, very frustrating and annoying thing that they play to their opponents. So, you know, you look at the way the Jets play. They played against the Patriots. They played down to the Patriots. You know what I'm saying? And then you look at games like, you know, the Buffalo game, the Chiefs game, this game that just passed with the Eagles, and they play up to their opponents. And it's a very frustrating thing because I would like to see, and I think this is a solid thing that where he has to motivate this team to be able to say, you know what, every single game we got to treat it like the Super Bowl. And I'm pretty sure he's putting that message out there. But for whatever reason, within the Saleh era, they haven't been able to rise above the bad teams. And I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's complacency. I don't know if they're drinking their own Kool-Aid. I don't know what it is, but whatever it is, they've got to fix that because.
So what you're saying is that that during this bye week they need to fix that so that they can rise above a bad Giants team. Is what you're saying?
Yes.
Oh man, I can't wait for that week.
I concur.
Oh man, I hope that we get Thomas back, Barkley better. I hope that DJ comes back. You know, I hope that we freaking spank that ass. All we need is a little bit of this offensive line that we had today and the defense to show up the way that we showed up today, and we're gonna be in. Let's go. You guys are gonna be rusty.
You gotta understand. We were pressuring Hurts all day. The Eagles have what is considered to be the best offensive line in the league. And Jalen Hurts was running for his life today, you know, especially in that second half. So I can't imagine what that defensive line would do to a Giants offensive
We'll see.
line.
I don't know. I was impressed with the offensive line today, man. I really, really was.
That's okay. That's okay. We'll find out in 2 weeks, unfortunately. We gotta wait until I'm gonna have to find a way to decompress because I don't have a Jets game next week, man. I don't know what I'm gonna do. You know what I'm saying? Like the only game that I'm gonna be watching is the Giant game. That's crazy. Yeah. You know, that's crazy. And listen, don't sleep on the Commanders. The Commanders are not
I'm not sleeping on the Commanders. I'm not, you know, we're going to have a whole hour long, you know, recording next week because of the Commanders. Yeah. I just hope that it's a win so that it's a happy hour long recording.
I kind of hoped you won this week because you know what? You would have knocked
it would have been amazing. Could you have imagined like somebody playing a parlay and having the Browns beating the Niners, you guys beating the Eagles and us beating the Bills? I would love to have known what that would have paid out.
That would have been crazy, man.
Because that ticket should have happened. You know, it should have been a historic day of like, you know, what the hell happened? All the absolute worst teams. What are you doing? All the absolute worst teams kind of, you know, not like showing out these supposed best teams in the league. So
it just goes to show you, right? Any given Sunday, right?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, I think that's going to do it for us. Thank you guys for joining us. Once again, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and the notify button. Next week, like we said, we'll catch you guys after the Giants and Commanders game. iPhone Apple effects. I don't have that, unfortunately. I'm a little bit cooler than
Let's go, baby.
But yeah, thanks for hanging out with us, man. Until then, go Giants
and go Jets.
Peace out, guys.
Later.